All right, hello, my name is Steven Jolson. I am the lead designer for Shadows of Abigail. Shadows of Abigail is a 2.5D puzzle fighter hybrid, and the story is about a little girl who is awoken at night by a light in the woods, and she takes her bear and her blanket to go and investigate this light. And once she enters this forest, the woods that behind her house had just been completely normal the day before. Now we're kind of alive with magic, and she found that her blanket and her bear had come to life and would help her on her quest to turn off this light. So the Puzzle Fighter Hybrid is something that we think is a very unique concept where we don't think that the little girl should be shooting and killing enemies. We don't want to shoot her, for instance. But what's going to happen is Abigail has a slingshot where she will, once she hits a bad guy, that enemy has a reaction to that hit, and the player's going to use those reactions to kill them and to hit them into hazards, to hit them into each other, and to set off different triggers or objectives in the levels. So we're going to talk about the review of the past week, where we are right now. We're going to talk about our mechanic regression, and we'll show some art and the level prototype. So let's go ahead and get into some of the enemy mechanics that we've founded a couple weeks ago. We have three main enemies. This is Pudge. Pudge is a fat, lazy kind of enemy, and when you hit him, he's actually going to turn into a ball and roll in the opposite direction of where he was hit. And in this, the player can aim him to roll into objects, into other enemies, or roll into a hazard. When Pudge attacks Abigail, when she comes in his cone of vision, he will turn into a ball and roll at her like a matador. So this actually allows for a little bit of some kind of pinball gameplay. Our next enemy here is Moper, and Moper is a kind of a sad clown. And when you hit Moper, he's going to start to cry, and he's going to pull enemies near him, all enemies in a certain radius towards him. And you could use this to guide enemies into hazards, or you can use this to collect enemies together to hit them better with Pudge or to hit them with a cannon. And our third main character is Dusty, and when Dusty is hit, he's like old piece of parchment. He's all full of dust and everything. Okay. I'll pause it. All right, JT, you can pause this out. Sorry, gentlemen. Sorry. All right, JT, you might want to take that out. Some guys came into the room, so and you can start from here. So Dusty is a dirty character, and he's covered in dust, basically. So when you shoot him with the slingshot, this cloud of dust is going to shoot off of him, and that's going to push enemies that are in his radius away from him. So the player can really use this to send enemies into hazards, to hit them into one another, to shoot them into some of the triggers and the objectives in the game. And our fourth character, who's not a main character, is a flyer. We're not sure if we're going to use this flying pig, which one of our artists created, but when you hit these characters are going to have some kind of objects in their hand, maybe stones or pebbles or marbles. And when you hit them in the sky, they're going to drop these prematurely wherever they are. So using these different mechanics, Abigail's going to be able to kill the enemies or guide them into the objectives on the map. So some of the level progress that you can see, we'll talk about the hide and seek mechanic in a second, but the progression objectives, so the player doesn't run throughout the map without having to lift a finger at any of the enemies, there's going to be different objectives that they're going to have to nail in order to get to progress. So we're going to have triggers in combat, we'll have environmental objectives, and we'll have navigational objectives. So here you'll see some of our hazards and triggers. Here are our cannons, which can move in three directions, and when you hit them, you hit this trigger here, they'll send off the cannonball into enemies, which will kill them. Surface hazards, this is just placeholder art. We have you'll be pushing or pulling the enemies into those to kill them. And then we'll have trees in the game that have some kind of objects in them, maybe not fruit, but when an enemy is pushed into that tree, or if Pudge rolls into that tree, this fruit will fall out onto the enemy and kill them. So here is our hide and seek mechanic, where every enemy has a cone of vision. And if you see this blue track right here, this is the track that Abigail can walk on. Like I said, it's a 2.5D game, so Abigail only walks on a 2D plane. The enemies have free range of movement throughout the 3D plane. So there's going to be trees on the tracks that Abigail can move behind, and it won't just be trees, it could be crates that Abigail can hide behind, and that will shield her from the enemy's cone of vision, as you see here. So once she is hidden from the enemy, then she can move forward, or she can try and complete the puzzle by attacking them in whichever way the player chooses. The game is our main objective is to be as emergent as possible, and we're hoping that with the mechanics that we have, that is possible. So here is just one puzzle. I'll talk you through one of them. We have a few to show, and feel free to pause the video at any time to take a look at the videos, because we do have texts available to explain exactly what we're doing in this. As you see here in the green are environmental objectives. These are the enemies back here. The blues are Moper. The purples are Pudge, and the orange are Dusty. So what you can do is, the second item that Abigail has to use is a piece of candy. And she can use that piece of candy to attract the enemies towards it, and they desire this piece of candy. So, and that's, the piece of candy is just an idea at this point. So we will pull, the player's going to get an option, decision to who they want to pull. So for instance, if you pulled Pudge down here, and if you were right here and you shot Pudge, he's going to reflect off of this tent and hit this objective. Another thing that you could do is pull a Moper and a Dusty. And once you got Moper coming here and Dusty coming here, you can shoot the Moper, who's going to attract the Dusty towards him. And then you can hit the Dusty, who's going to push the Moper into the green objective. So once again, here are just some more puzzles. Feel free to pause and take a look at these. We're also trying to figure out why are the enemies hanging around hazards. We want to justify that. So here you have enemies sitting around a campfire. And these are objectives that you need to hit an enemy into, or you can use the cannons to blow these open so you can open this door to move forward. And now that we have physics in the game, one thing that you can do is hit this Pudge, who would roll down and into the objective once you got him on a hill like this. And here's a shooting gallery idea. And all these ideas that we have, our mantra right now is create 100 puzzles so we can use 10. And that's really kind of what we're living by. So we're writing new puzzles every day, trying to have interesting ones. So this one would play with light, where these two lanterns right here are completely off, and this one's on. So when she hits this paddle, and these paddles will change, the specific paddle she has to hit will change every couple of seconds. When she manages to hit that, this light will go off. This light will turn on. She'll have to run over and repeat this here, but now with an enemy to deal with somewhere in the dark. Once she hits that, the light will go off here. She will have to run forward. And now she will have two shooting areas that she has to hit, plus more enemies and an enemy in the dark. And one thing that we're thinking about is we're trying to use a lot of humor in this. And maybe that you see the enemy glows when they're in the dark, and they tiptoe around the light to get behind her, or their eyes glow. Here's an environmental hazard where you have moving conveyor belts, and you can change their direction by using these boxes. And in doing so, you have to try and get an enemy into a hazard. Here is another environmental objective where you're moving blocks to get Abigail right here in the pink to this door. But you have to, in order to do that, you have to move these, and by moving those, you're going to start to let the enemies loose in the world. So here's a screenshot of that, and here's a screenshot of our 3-plane system. And this is something that we're talking about, rather than having a long linear gameplay, that she moves up and down like this to different levels of the map. Here's a concept for our haunted house. Our game, the different levels take place in different attractions in the carnival. So this would be a haunted house level. Here's our Ferris wheel, our architectural weenie here. A fun house. Some of the trees that we're going to use in the level. Mr. Snuggles, who is our main villain in the game. And he's going to befriend Abigail at first, but he's going to be possessive of her. And when he finds out she's trying to return home after she shut off the light, he's going to turn on her because he doesn't want her to leave, and he will be the final boss. Here is the entrance to the carnival. Some of the tents. An old popcorn machine with moldy popcorn. Crates and barrels. One of our pirate ships, our pirate ship, which will be one of the specific areas in the game. Here's Abigail in her form. Here's her teddy bear, who I mentioned earlier. And this is Moper, and Dusty in his completed form, and Pudge completed. So now, real quick, what I want to do is show you. Here is our game right now, as it is. Let me set down the microphone so I can move my hands. And As you can see, we have physics on the tennis balls, or well, just the balls and the tennis balls. The longer you hold it, the farther it shoots, and we're doing that because we'll have multiple enemies in the background. So we have movement and shapeable terrain, and right now we are working on putting AI and getting that all shaped up. So I hope you guys enjoyed our game and look for our update next week, and thank you for listening.